Hi, I'm Reverend Jake Sabe, and welcome to Children's Bible Stories. Alright children, our Bible story for today is going to be the story of the guards for the tomb. So, Jesus was killed on Good Friday. And now the next day, which would have been the Saturday, the Sabbath, the chief priests and the Pharisees came to Pilate and they said, "Look, Pilate, this imposter," so they're talking about Jesus, they're going, this guy claimed to be the king of the Jews, this big liar Jesus. We remember that he had said when he was still alive that on the third day he would rise from the dead. Therefore, we want you to make sure that the tomb is made secure, lest the people go and steal his body away and they claim that he's risen from the dead, and then his last fraud will be worse than his first. So the chief priests and Pharisees are saying, look, Jesus claimed that he was going to rise from the dead, and we're worried that his disciples are going to come and steal his body while he's in there, and then they're just going to claim that he rose from the dead, and then everyone's going to believe that he rose from the dead, and that's going to be really bad. So we want you to make sure that the tomb is secure. So Pilate said, "You have a guard of soldiers, go. Make it as secure as you can." So he gave not just some of the temple guard, which came and arrested Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, but the Pharisees and that were given proper Roman soldiers to defend the tomb. And so they went and they secured the tomb with a Roman seal. So normally what they'd do is they'd put all these ropes around it, and then they'd put wax on the ropes and they'd seal it so you could see if it has been cut open or broken. And then they set the guards around the tomb to keep an eye to make sure that nobody came to steal the body of Jesus. And we know that the guards were still there because on Easter morning when the women were coming to the tomb and the angel came down out of heaven to roll away the stone from the front of the tomb, that's when the guards saw the angel and they were scared and they fainted out of fear and became like dead men. They were that scared. But see, children, the importance of this is that this shows us that Jesus did really rise from the dead, because there was a seal put on the tomb and the Roman soldiers were there. And that means the disciples of Jesus were unable to just steal his body away from the tomb without fighting and killing a bunch of Roman soldiers. As Matthew's gospel tells us, after Jesus had risen from the dead, the guards came back and met with the elders of the Jews and told them what happened. Look, we were standing there and all of a sudden this giant angel came out of heaven to roll away a tomb, and we were terrified and we fainted, and when we woke up, Jesus had risen from the dead. He was gone. And so the elders were like, "Oh no, we got to keep this a secret. We can't let this get out." So they told the soldiers to lie. They said, "Look, just tell everyone that while you were on guard, you fell asleep. And while you're sleeping, the disciples came and they stole Jesus' body." And then they said, "Look, here, have some money, and if the governor hears about this, we'll satisfy him and keep you out of trouble." And this was important because Roman soldiers were meant to stay awake while on duty. And if they fell asleep while on duty, you know what the punishment was, children?
Get crucified. Yeah, they'll be crucified.
That's right. They'd be crucified for falling asleep on duty. So if the Roman soldiers had actually fallen asleep and let the disciples come and steal the body of Jesus, they should have been crucified. And so the Jews are like, "Here, you just lie and tell everyone you were asleep and we'll make sure Pilate doesn't kill you." And that's what happened. The Roman soldiers took the money and they went and lied and told everybody that the Jews had just stolen the body of Jesus. And that then, children, is the story of the guards at the tomb. I've been your host, Reverend Jake Zabel. Goodbye and God bless.